Here's a Land Rover Discovery 4.3 litre that I'm replacing the inlet manifold on. The inlet manifold, I suppose, a little bit prone to cracking. This is the driver's side one, which is the most common. The passenger side one can also go. Some workshops will say, do both manifolds at the same time. You can. To me, you're not saving any labour. See all these bits and pieces that have come across from that side, and I have moved it all across to that side. So once that manifold's done, you've got to put everything back and then start the other side. There's no real benefit in just pulling everything off to do them both at the same time. You're doing one, completing the job, and then you're doing the next one and completing the job. I'll show you the crack. Here's one I prepared earlier. So I've wedged a screwdriver in there, and you can see that's the crack. That's typically where they all crack, and you can see all that black goo around everywhere. That's the telltale signs. And also on the back of the acoustic engine cover, you'll see black stains. So normally I say do the driver's side one or the passenger side one. Yeah, the other one might fail next week, 10,000 Ks, 100,000 Ks, or it may never actually fail. There are workshops out there that'll say, oh yeah, they're all going to fail, both sides. But in my mind, if it's 100,000 Ks later, even 10,000 Ks later, it gives you an idea, or a chance to, save up for that repair job again. So this one's off. I've cleaned it all up, and the genuine one is ready to go back on. This one, weirdly, has broken both sides, and I'll show you the passenger side. Don't know if you can really see in there. Oh, shivers. Oh, it's really hard to see, but we've got a bit of black stain again. It was actually at another workshop and they couldn't find the fault. That's fine if you're not familiar with the vehicle. If you don't do Land Rover Discovery 4.3 litres and you're not familiar with the inlet manifolds cracking, that's fine. But I think any workshop should be able to have a look over the engine, pull the acoustic engine cover off, see the black stain, see all that black goo on the top of the inlet manifold, and realise that's normally the black goo that is on the inside of the manifold and shouldn't be on the outside. So that's a fairly common one. Another fairly common fault is the engine oil cooler. Now I'm just shining the torch. See where the oil filter housing is? Well, that whole assembly down below is, if I can get in there, yeah, is the engine oil cooler. Now, they'll leak internally, they crack. So they can leak in two ways. They can leak externally, where it leaks engine oil into the valley of the engine. And typically customers notice it when they complain of an oil leak underneath the car about where the transmission is, because it gets to the point where the valley is full of oil, and typically they'll park on a slight incline and the oil will run down the back of the engine and then pour out on either side of the auto. So an oil leak typically is the first sign of the engine oil cooler, or they can leak internally. If it leaks internally, it fills the coolant expansion tank full of engine oil. So your whole cooling system ends up with engine oil in it, and then that's a lot of work. External leaks, yeah, a bit of a degreaser and cleaning, but internally you're having to flush the cooling system numerous times, and really you risk a lot of those cooling system components having to be replaced. Expansion, once you've got it clean enough, which generally is a couple of thousand Ks, I say to customers, replace the expansion tank. We start replacing hoses. It's a bit of a pain. So a leak externally is the ideal thing. What else? We've got lower control arms. They're quite common failures. EGR failures. Top coolant outlet, there's a good one. So see that there where my torch is shining? This top coolant outlet, typically they fail on that seam line, and often it's just after it's had a time belt change, and I suspect because this top hose, you're having to do this to get it off once you've removed that clip, and I suspect it cracks. So generally with customers, I say we change them round halfway point between 168,000, so 70 or 80,000 Ks is generally when I say to change out that top coolant outlet, because I've seen so many of them split, and the engine heat protection management can't respond quick enough, and basically all the coolant out of the cylinder heads disappears, and the engine overheats, and that's the end of the engine. Top coolant hose can also fail. Where this fabric is, the acoustic engine cover comes over here. It can actually cut through the hose. So when that happens, I replace the hose and I get the acoustic engine cover. Let's have a look. Can we? So there's the acoustic end. This part here I normally trim out further, so it's got a lot more clearance. It's another great one by Land Rover. These are all the bits when doing the manifold. So there's all our injectors, all the intake plenum, all the bits of plastic, all the hoses, bits of plastic, air box, everything. There's a whole lot of stuff. So there is a huge amount of work involved in doing these, as you can see there. But you know, it's not that hard. It's more time consuming than anything else. What else have we got? Front disc can fail a little bit. Starter motors, alternators. Starter motors is pretty rare. I don't do many starter motors. AC compressor can fail. The air suspension compressor can fail. I don't think they are, you know, a particularly big thing, as in failure rates. So I think lower control arms, I consider lower control arms a wear item on anything that's got independent front end. What else? That's about it. Well, the big one, obviously, catastrophic engine failure. And you'll watch videos online, YouTubers, about what they've theorized this, and you get on the four-wheel drive forums and everyone theorizes about this and the engineering and that, and it was built on a Monday or a bad day and all the rest of it. Are they the worst engine out there? I don't think so. I think there's plenty of other brands that have a far higher, you know, failure rate of engines, and I can think of one company that their engines are used in a lot of vehicles around the world, you know. So, do I think it's a great design? No, not particularly. But yeah, catastrophic engine phase. But to be fair, I don't think I have ever had a Discovery 4 3 litre that I have serviced since brand new, or pretty well since brand new, that's ever had an engine failure. Typically when they turn up on a tilt tray, they look a bit neglected. And I'd say that's the same with the Discovery 3 as well. You know, may not be the greatest engine design, but are they the worst failure? No, I don't think so. A V6 inherently is a bad designed engine. And American engines, well, I suppose in the 80s, 90s, maybe, or 2000s, where every American car manufacturer just about threw a V6 in it, in whatever model. They seemed quite popular. And inherently they're just a bad design. Things like split crankshafts or offset crankshafts. You know, it's always going to be not a great thing. I mean, when they're running, it's often when people say, "Oh, what's your favourite car?" And I say, well, apart from Defenders, because I'm a bit of a crazy person like the owners, and I tell the Defender owners that too, it's a Discovery 4. Then they say, oh, do you recommend one? And I say, yeah, not particularly, because, you know, you can get an owner that isn't a car enthusiast, but they've been servicing the vehicle, taking it to the dealer or wherever, doing the recommended service things, and the service centre will say, oh yeah, 20,000 kilometre servicing, or once a year, or I think the new ones are like 30,000 kilometre service intervals, and they think they're doing the right thing, and then suddenly catastrophic engine failure, or it turns up here on a tilt tray, and then you have to tell the customer that, oh yeah, catastrophic engine failure. And back when you could get brand new engines, you're looking about 50 grand to put a new factory grade engine, which you can't get now anyway, and you haven't been able to get factory grade engines from Land Rover for many, many years. So all you're putting in them, in the 3 litres, is another used engine from the wreckers that potentially could have the same failure. Yeah, so yeah, what else? That's about it. The handbrake assemblies, which is another bit of ridiculous idea. The handbrake module, grossly expensive. I don't know, some of the failure rates I just can't. They're an awesome vehicle when they're running, and I've got customers that I've serviced their Discovery for since new, or near as damn it, and they've got 250, 260, 270,000 kilometres, still going fine. So, you know, is it just the way people are looking after the vehicle or not looking after it? I don't believe 20,000 kilometre service intervals is good enough. 30,000 kilometre service intervals is just crazy talk. And then you get other that talk about bad engineering, and that's why they break the crankshaft. They don't all break crankshafts. In fact, most of the failed engines, both in the 2.7 and the 3 litre, haven't broken the crankshaft, but they have spun the big end bearings. So, you know, this thing, oh, they break crankshafts. I haven't had many with broken crankshafts, but I've had plenty where the crankshaft is just jammed up solid in the block, to the point where some of the pistons, I'll show you a piston, I'll get it down. So I think this one is a 2.7. So that is a piston that the crankshaft is jammed up, and it's just twisted that conrod like it's a piece of Play-Doh. I mean, that's nuts. and others where the piston has jammed up between the crankshaft and the block. So, and yet the crankshaft hasn't broken. Let's move my coffee. So, you know, now if anyone's interested, these wipes, they're pretty crap. They've got this really nasty chemical smell, and they don't work that good at cleaning grease. Tell you what, Sally's Barbecue Tough Wipes. Oh my God. If you want good, these are the best workshop wipes. Got, oh, if I can get one out one-handed. You know, it's stupid when you're doing, no, I can't. They've got like these little plastic nodules. Look, that's just off my hand. These little plastic nodules. So for cleaning up tools and everything, they are just awesome. I've tried all the other good ones that used to be were the Snap-on wipes, but I don't like the way Snap-on treat their dealers and all the rest of that. And when my dealer actually wasn't able to visit, I don't know, for whatever reason, and I asked, can another Snap-on dealer, I guess, come round? They said, no, you just buy direct from us. Yeah, that's not convenient. So I use Toolmart on Belmont Avenue. Their service is just awesome. And I've changed over to all the Makita tools now. Rattle guns, ratchets, drivers, buffers, everything now is Makita. It's a better kit, and Makita support their agents or dealers, and the local one being Belmont Tools. They do the repairs as well. They're awesome. So there's a good plug for Belmont Tools on Belmont Avenue. Oh, Belmont Tools. No, Toolmart. Get it right. So, yeah, the Sally's wipes. They are the best. I think you can get them from wherever. I don't need to plug where you buy them from, but these are great. I think that's about everything. So, if you're a car enthusiast, yeah, Discovery 4. Awesome vehicle. You just get a Defender. And even when Defenders are broken, they still look cool. I always say with a Defender, the best part about a Defender is standing there looking at it. The next part is driving it, and depending on how far and what model and how hot it is and how cold it is, the novelty of driving a Defender can wear off. And the worst part about a Defender is working on them, because, you know, they're a hodgepodge of a vehicle, but they're still awesome, and, you know, that's why I drive them and own them, and, you know, all the cool people own them. So, yeah, if you're a car enthusiast, yeah, get a Discovery 4. Awesome on-road, awesome off-road. It's interesting when I've had customers that go and drive other vehicles, even things like 200 series Land Cruisers, they say it just doesn't ride the same. You know, the 200 series feels like a great big land boat, and let's face it, the 4.5 litre V8, that has its own list of problems, pistons, injectors, all sorts of stuff like that. I know the Toyota fanboys will hate that, but I get Land Rover fanboys all the time that say, what, so all these engines fail in the Disco 3s and 4s? And I'll say, oh, my Disco 3 has done 300,000 Ks. Wow, that's because their sample is one vehicle. Or they say, oh, my mate's one's done 400,000. Wow, your sample is two vehicles. How about you sample 100, 200, 300, and then see what the failure rates are? All right, I think that's enough rambling. I think I've covered most things. I only just really touched on it, but catastrophic engine failures, no one really knows, because let's face it, the two that you've never heard from is Ford and Land Rover. Neither company have come out and said, oh yeah, we designed the crankshafts wrong, or we designed the oil ways through the crankshaft wrong, or we designed the oil pump wrong. They've never come out and said anything. So all the rest is just speculation, unless even if you're a mechanical engineer, you're still only speculating. And apart from that, yeah, that's it. Comment if you want more detail of anything, or more rambling or less rambling. Thanks. See ya.